McDonald's more than meets the eye.
How's it going, guys? CrackedRack here, and I bet you haven't heard that in a long time. Today, I am back with another comedic rant video for you all. Now, a lot of people probably think I'm too narcissistic to even post a comedy video these days, but it's not true. I'm here, and I'm queer, and I'm not going away anytime soon, so please calm your ass right down. I don't like normally doing these because I like to make, better quality content or maybe even music and not just a lazy story told over some gameplay footage, but why not? Let's revisit the classics and give people a good show. Anyways, little boys and girls, today's story starts like any other. I was trying to get extra money for Deplorable Instincts about 3 years ago. You see, 3 years ago, when I was just beginning the concept of my novel, Deplorable Instinct, I needed some cash. I only had like $200 to put towards the book, and you can't get anything with $200. You can maybe buy a candy bar and a Glock 15 to kill yourself. So I realized I just needed to get a quick job. However, at the time, I lived in an area where there weren't really any job opportunities, especially not for someone like myself. So the only place that was nearby was McDonald's. And I decided it'd be a good choice because it was $19 an hour now. So I was like, holy crap, yeah, and I applied. Though there was one major hiccup, and I do mean major. It was almost just vomit, actually. I had already worked at that McDonald's like 6 or 7 years ago, which you can go hear about yourself in another video. So I go there, and I apply, and I got an immediate interview, literally like 5 minutes after I applied. The same day, and I was like, holy shit, these people are fucking desperate. Not just because you have me as an employee, but because you're willing to sign me on within 5 fucking seconds of me finishing the application. But hey, I figured it wouldn't matter if I had worked at the McDonald's previously, because it had been so long since I worked there, their pay was like $12 an hour. So I figured it really just wouldn't matter. So anyway, I go to the interview, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's new people here, there's new everything, there's nothing to worry about. So immediately I sit there, I wait for my interviewer to come out, and immediately there's the same manager from years ago who fired me coming out to interview me. And she's dressed like Wario for some reason, there's like a Mario theme going on. So she sits me down, and she's really nice to me because I've successfully convinced her that I am a different man from who I was years ago. And she was just really excited to hire me, so I signed some paperwork, and the first day was the next day. Also, the decorations everywhere were so trashy. It was just like Mario Party games from like the early 2000s decorated all over the fucking McDonald's chairs. You had Mortal Kombat decorations. This was clearly a very trashy McDonald's that was not at all connected to, like, the actual franchise. It didn't really make any sense, though, because everyone who came to that McDonald's was just too old for this. The youngest people there, if they weren't actual, like, babies, were, like, 19 years old. So it honestly just looked like a stoner paradise more than an innocent, family-friendly one. Anyways, cut to my first day, and I already have a major issue. My old car that I was driving was a complete shitbox. It was an extremely old Chevrolet from the 1980s, and it had no features at all. It was really cold out when I was trying to get to work, and I was already really late, but I couldn't, and I was even later, because my windows were completely frosted over. And I scraped it for like 10 minutes, and it didn't matter. So because there was such a short distance away from the McDonald's, I decided I would just drive with my head stuck out the window, which I did, which led me to yet another issue, as if I was the Three Stooges. My hat then flew off of my head and smacked the car behind me. And I was frankly just too embarrassed to even go get it, so I just continued to drive to work like I was in Mad Max. So anyways, I get to work, and every last single employee is like 13. Either they're 13, or they're like 99. There is no in between, and I feel awful and totally out of place as soon as my shift starts. Keep in mind, these were very hard times for me, and I was really in no position to even be working this way. So I start training, and it's so fucking boring. This man of maybe 25 years old, who looks like he's straight out of Family Guy, tries to teach me how to use the onions. And he's basically like, Alright, so you're gonna put the onions on the burger, and you're just gonna go ahead and let that sit there for a while and simmer. I really was losing my mind and did not want to deal with any of this, especially with this fucking asshole. And I really just realized right here and then that I am not a normal blue-collar worker at all, and I suck at it! I don't have the mindset for it at all, and it just seems totally alien to me. So anyways, every last single coworker fucking hated my guts. They were all 13 years old, like I said, or really old people, and we had absolutely nothing in common, so I just felt like a big waste of space, and I didn't even really care about anything they had to say, and they didn't care about anything I had to say, so it was just fucking awful. Cut to day 2, and it fucking sucked. I wanted to die. I had a 10-hour shift at fucking McDonald's as CrackedRack in a crowd of 13-year-olds. I felt absolutely terrible, and I just wanted to die. And I was really considering just using my $200 to fund my book and not keeping this piece of shit job. I know that sounds very entitled, but holy fuck, I felt like I was in the 9th circle of hell. So anyways, I decided that because my shift was so long and so boring that I'd get a little high during my shift. That way I could keep my distance from, all of the idiots. Because those people are the idiots, I'm not the idiot. I'm not dumb, they're dumb. Now, keep in mind, this was 3 years ago. I would not do this now, but at the time, I was very, very bored and in a bad place, so I just wanted to get high whenever I could. And, that way, if I was really high, I could just keep my distance from the 13-year-olds and the hospice patients and do my own thing. Luckily, I had half a joint with me, and I went out to my car to smoke it, while also smoking a cigarette as to taint the air with cigarette smoke and not weed smoke. Mind you, I wasn't on break or anything, I was supposed to be working, and I was focusing much more on hotboxing my car than working. In that hotboxing session, I got really high. I literally felt like a fucking ghost. And when I went back into the McDonald's, I actually started to kind of have fun for a minute. I felt like I was doing a good job and felt excellent, even though I was doing an absolutely unacceptable job. And this one girl in particular absolutely fucking hated me. She wanted me to die. She was not a kid. She was like 30 years old, but she looked like she was 12 for some reason. Really, she did not look like an adult at all. And she always looked at me with just disgust on her face, just bleh. And when she saw me as I came back in from smoking weed, she just gave me the most disgusted look I've ever seen anyone give. Like, not to be super supremely offensive, but she had a more disgusted look on her face than Anne Frank would have for Hitler if she got one last glance at him while he was alive. Anyways, this woman's negativity really ruined my vibe because she wasn't just some kid, she was like an adult, and the manager actually got involved and was like, "Hey, Matthew!" And I just instantly sobered right up, and that pissed me off, and I just felt like a big piece of shit. It was at this moment I realized I probably shouldn't be working at McDonald's. Cut to day 3, and the most embarrassing incident ever happens. You see, I was having a very bad time at this time. These were not fun times for CrackedRack. I was facing 2 lawsuits I had no preparation to even fight. One for a bunch of absolute lunatics that were just being insane, and the second one was for some Karen that was trying to sue me. Luckily, neither of them came out to be anything, but still, at the time, I was very scared of these 2 lawsuits. I was dealing with extreme drama, especially friend drama. And I was also dealing with writing a book, and I also got signed to a record label, a very small one, but I did get signed, and I was coming to terms with that, and it was just a lot of shit. So I felt like utter shit and was just in a constant state of fight or flight mode. I was definitely not fit to be working at this McDonald's, or any McDonald's for that matter. And on top of this, to make matters significantly worse, I just kept getting phone calls from the courthouse about my cases over and over again, which felt absolutely fucking awful. I literally just wanted to die. So I started to have a panic attack that was really bad, and I needed desperately to breathe deeply as to calm myself down. So, standing in the middle of the kitchen, I closed my eyes and took a deep, loud breath as to calm myself. Because, no one was around me. I needed to calm down. So basically I went, and as I did so, I smelled a huge, hint of cocoa butter. And it was so strong, I literally just instantly went, smells like cocoa butter. And I opened my eyes, only to then see an elderly woman directly in front of me bending over to put something down. and to my right is that disgusted girl from earlier staring at me, way more disgusted than before. Now, I brushed this off as nothing, but then day 4 came and shit hit the fucking fan. I was eating a McCrispy on my table, and the manager approaches me and goes, "Matthew, did you inappropriately sniff an employee?" And I, of course, was like, no, I didn't. And at this point, I stopped taking the job seriously because I knew my days were numbered anyways, and I was not capable of even doing this fucking work. And they already hated my guts, and I was already gonna quit. So I was like, alright, fuck it, I'm just gonna stop giving a shit. And I decided to respond to his accusation with a little meme. So I said, "Sorry, I can be kind of autistic sometimes." Which wasn't even a lie, really, and I expected him to laugh, but he didn't. He stared at me with disgust and silence for seconds longer. Frankly, I could not believe I had gotten myself into a situation like this. At my age? At my fucking age? Not helping my case was this 18-year-old child, basically, who wouldn't stop talking about all the hardcore fucking she does. Like, she had literally just turned 18, like, a week prior, and she wouldn't stop talking about all the sloppy, slutty, fucking premarital sex she was having. On top of this, she was also fucking engaged. So I just thought she was an absolute lunatic. I'd be doing the dishes and I'd overhear her talking to an uninterested or even underage coworker being like, "Yeah, I met this guy at a mall and we went and I sucked his cock. Ha ha. My boyfriend was like, what the fuck? It was so fucking #hot." And I was just like, ew. And you couldn't escape it. She'd go up to everyone and be like, "Yep, I had sex with this man in his camper van, even though I'm engaged. It was so fucking hot. Oh my god." So anyways, cut to day 5, and I am literally having a panic attack over the onions. I can't even properly put the onions on a burger because I'm having such anxiety over several issues. And my coworkers notice. "Is this too hard for you?" The Family Guy-looking dude said condescendingly. Yeah, this day was awful. I kept fucking everything up. You know the waste baskets at McDonald's of wasted food they couldn't cook, or they fucked it up somehow? Yeah, well I filled that motherfucker up to the brim with oniony shit burgers, like $50 a burgers. And that 30-year-old woman who hates my guts was like, "What the fuck? That was like a day's worth of shit!" And I was like, because I was just having a huge panic attack. And yeah, it was just an absolute disaster. However, the disaster came to a fucking climax, which was day 6, the last day. Basically, I came into work. My boss, the woman, sits me down and she's like, "Hey Matthew, we've been getting some complaints about, your work ability the last several days. Are you sure this is going to be a job you can handle?" And I was like, of course I can handle it. But as soon as I said that, I got another phone call, and I answered it immediately because it was the police. I was getting a call from a police officer about something relating to my lawsuit. And I was like, "Oh, sorry, can you excuse me for a minute? I have to talk to the police." So I went outside and I talked to the police for a while. And after that it was over, I came back inside and I was just kind of shaken up for having to talk to the police. And I just couldn't do my job at all. So I came over to her and I was like, "Hey boss, I wanted to tell you something. I'm gonna be," and as soon as I said I was gonna be quitting, she announced that I was actually terminated after the 2-week probationary period. And yeah, I basically just went home and did the same thing I always do. Now you're probably asking yourself, did I learn anything from this? No!